dating nonsense. Mom wasn't having it. Now, I don't know what your dating experience was back in the day, and even still now, as an older woman, things have shifted, things have changed. But I'm going to give you some hints, some points, some stories. Maybe that will help you. I pray that it does. So, hey guys, this is PM Mathis, your global indie author distributor. And as always, I hope that you're having a great day. Now, remember, this one is called Dating a Nonsense, okay? So, when I started my journey on dating, okay, so let me just give you a little background of the story. I came to Alabama in '86. I was 15 years old. And so my mom just got ready to come home because she had left Alabama when she was 21. And so it was just a time and a transition for her, and she was just ready to come back. Now, I wasn't ready to be here. I had visited every summer, did not like what I saw, felt, didn't want to be here. But at 15, I didn't have a choice. So being new it kind of throws you into a pool where, people are interested. Why? Because you're new, right? And this is a small town, that I came from a big city to a small town. So it's basically everybody knows everybody, people date the same people back and forth, I'm not saying everybody did that, but that was generally the gist of how things went. But then also throw in the mix, my mom was a Jehovah's Witness, so really dating I couldn't really do. I couldn't really, have conversations with guys. I couldn't really, go out or any of that kind of thing. So when I say that these are dating rules and mom wasn't having it, well, dating nonsense, it was absolutely the truth because, I couldn't date. I literally, had to figure out workarounds, right? So in school, I did I had a boyfriend thing. But of course, after you go home, that just shuts down. So it wasn't any of this contact after the fact. There, like I said, I would go to the games, and so there was that. I had the opportunity to socialize. You know what I'm saying? Mix it up a little bit. We had the school dances. She didn't really approve of any of that kind of thing. Like I said, all of this was workarounds. Okay. So whatever way I figured it out and had the opportunity to socialize. There were, things that we did, in school, and we took trips and stuff like that. So, you do those kinds of workarounds, right? Okay. Well, that's just where it was. So dating, wasn't really it wasn't natural. It wasn't the way that the world views it. So as I got older and trying to figure, myself out in this new, having my own place, not having any rules because I got out of my mom's home just right out of high school. My mom came to me and told me, hey, in order for us to be friends, I needed to get my own place. And I respected her for that, and I still do to this day. Because the point of the matter was, I have always been one that wanted to make my own decisions. I never really liked to be told what to do. And still, at 49, I don't really like to be told what to do. So I had to work through that thing. But it opened up a whole new door of opportunities, right? Because now I could date. Now I could do what I really wanted to. But did not necessarily just jump right into it. I'm not saying that I didn't have, I don't even know if I can call it dates really, because it was just like, people getting together. Nobody really took me out. We just, either they came and hung at my place, or, maybe we talked on the phone, maybe. But I was just about really at that point, being 18, I had to get a job. I had to, take care of myself. So I was working, Yes, you meet people along the way, but nothing just really, got serious or jumped off until somewhat later in life, kind of when I met, my child's father. Okay. I didn't really have any rules of engagement. I didn't know what those look like. So I just kind of allowed myself to be chosen. I didn't know that I should, have a set of standards. So I should, not agree to this or shut down this over here, because I came into the situation with daddy issues. And if you don't really understand what that means, that just truly means that you are looking for male attention. And so you're looking for someone to love you and make you feel special and to see you, to hear you, you know what I'm saying? And really want to be a part of your existence. And then I had this awful thing of needing to be needed. So in my earlier days, I did not choose well. And so it just became a whole big mess eventually, where the heart gets broken, where you're really choosing people that are not emotionally ready to take you on, because in your mind, as long as that attention is being thrown to you, as long as, oh, I love you, or as long as they're showing up sometimes, and you don't know that there should be anything better because you didn't see a whole clear picture of that as you were growing up, because what, daddy wasn't there. So he didn't set into place how life should look for you. That sometimes this happens. You confuse sex with love, right? And that was a big, huge part of my existence. I just really confused what loving somebody outside of sex looked like. Because once in my mind and in my head, once you start, sleeping with a person, then you automatically should love them. And that's literally not the case. Okay. So, and then here was this little nasty piece. I stayed in relationships way too long. I stayed in places because I felt like I loved them and that they would change and that they would get better, and that me loving them would help them see their own potential. Not that I necessarily went into any relationship trying to change anybody, but I was hopeful that that there would be a shift and a switch in their head and their heart, and they would commit to me. But the big issue was I didn't even know how to commit. So now let's bring it back to let's bring it to the current situation. Now, I haven't, still to this day, I still haven't made all the best decisions as it relates to relationships. Your girl has been married twice. First and foremost, once to her child's father, because I was trying to build that relationship with my child and her dad. But he didn't necessarily want that. If it wasn't about me, then there was no relationship ultimately for him and his daughter. So, and then the second marriage, it was just a weird kind of, still, I guess, somewhat needing to be needed. I did see a different, he was a different kind of guy, to the point of, he could see me, he could hear me, but then he was still so clouded by his own set of issues, because we all have childhood traumas, and then we grow up to have, adult situations that don't always cause us to be able to see things exactly the way they are, but we make things up in our minds and in our hearts that will not allow us to see beyond ourselves in order to really recognize what we have in front of us, right? So now, here's what I want to suggest to you. And this has come from trial and error. Of course, as we get older, we were supposed to get wiser. That is the objective in life, right? So now, today, as it relates to dating and really figuring out, who people are, I listen a lot to R.C. Blanks Jr., who is, he has a book called Queenology, which I've read, which is absolutely phenomenal and awesome, because it really puts a woman who did not, and a lot of his platform is about ladies with daddy issues. So it puts you in the mindset of having a self-awareness and a consciousness about yourself, that you hold value, and that you have to recognize yourself in a space and in a vein that will allow you to be seen, heard, and valued, right? So what he has said, you date for data. That just means you have to ask the questions. And sometimes you accept the awkwardness of understanding that, hey, this person's not for me. You know what? It's not you, it's me. We need to walk away from the situation, but you don't allow it to keep going on. You don't allow it to cause yourself to be in a sexual relationship that ties your heart to a person before you really figure out who that person is and if it's somebody that you want to spend your life with. Okay. A 2018 study found it usually takes a month for conversation patterns to settle in and to get into a comfortable rhythm. Now, that just truly means that you got to talk to people. You got to have the conversations. You got to stay present. There will be times that you find yourself getting caught up in the, oh my God, he really does he see me, he really does love me. But you have to realize, what you've heard. And when a person truly tells you who they are, you have to believe them. Okay? I've been, I didn't always do that. But this is where we are. This is how we do things now. Okay? So you will recognize if given time and if spending time with somebody and having conversations with them, that rude and potentially hurtful situations that you might find yourself in later. This is to find yourself in that kind of situation after you've walked through so many years of life and stages in life is what I'm going to say is dating nonsense. And I'm even putting my own self in that category because I really had to fight through and work through the loneliness piece, because it was the loneliness piece that caused me to make bad decisions, to stay in relationships that I really didn't need to be in, to feel like I needed to love somebody when they weren't really lovable. I'm not saying that they were the worst person on earth, but sometimes people just can't be honest. They can't just literally own their own truth. And in them not owning their truth, they take you to a place and in a space that you don't even really need to be in. You need to be able to be with somebody where you guys can have a conversation, where you know about him, he knows about you. There has to be this give and take kind of thing. Though vulnerability is not easy because I struggle with it myself, it is absolutely necessary so you can reveal the truth about who you are, what you want, and the other person does the same. You literally cannot wear your feelings on your sleeve. That is a detriment to your ability to be practical. It is a detrimental situation to really figuring out who a person is on the front end, rather than spending your whole life later on trying to figure this person out and trying to be something that they don't need and you don't want. Okay? You have to really take control of your feelings, of the situation. You have the right to say, no, I don't want to do this, and walk away from it. That is the best thing that you could ever do. It's not always easy, because when you're looking to be loved and you want that security and you want the ability to say, hey, somebody cares about me, it is hard to walk away. But I want to say to you, there is an oil called common sense. And I know you're like thinking, Pam, really? There is absolutely an oil called common sense? Yes, ma'ams, and yes, sirs. Now, common sense, it is a sound judgment in the bottle. It makes things, puts them in a practical, situation. It helps strengthens your everyday thinking skills, right? Because when we're dating, when we're trying to figure out who somebody is, we need to be mentally balanced. We need to not be doing everything emotional, right? Now, I am working through, just like you, trying to figure things out, making sure that my mind is in a place that is settled, that I'm okay, that I know that loving myself first is the key to what can be positive later on in life, right? So you take a big old whiff of common sense. You'd let the mind settle and just take a few minutes, think through the pros and cons of the relationship. It has to be beneficial on both sides, yours and his, right? Hers and his, however, whatever, which way this is playing out. And you also, this is a huge, big key part of it, must have the discerning power of God on your side. You got to ask God, is this person right for me? And if not, then shut the door. Close the door. Let me walk away. Right? Because God is the ability that gives us the ability to see evil overcome with good. Our circumstances do not change who God is. We have to literally trust God in the weak moments, because if we don't, then we find ourselves in situations that sometimes is extremely hard to get out of, because your life is more valuable than a moment of pleasure. Now, I mentioned to you earlier about he is actually a pastor that I listen to, R.C. Blake's, and there were 9 questions that he suggested, like when you're dating somebody, to ask. So if you want those 9 questions and you don't want to look on the internet, try to figure out what they are, send your girl, an email, right? And that's P Mathis, that's Mathis, at pewpartners.com with the subject line, "Hey, questions," and your girl will shoot you those questions. So you can actually work through, ask the questions, figure out, who the person is. And like I said, if they really show you who they are, believe them. Okay? And remember this fact again: dating is for data. That is what R.C. Blake says. And I truly believe that is the truth of the matter. It truly is about not, oh my God, they love me so much. Stop all of that. Right? And I'm only telling you that because that's how I've walked through my own dating situation. And I found myself 2 divorces later, 49 years old, looking for love again. So I hope that this has been beneficial to you. And if it has, remember to subscribe, like, and share. And I want you to remember this: I love you and I live to serve you. And I want you to be blessed. Always, always, always. Always, always, always. I want you to be blessed. Okay, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.